Hey guys, welcome back to Honkai Star Rail. In today's video, we're checking out the Cocolia boss fight in the campaign. Now, I think this is one where a lot of people could get stuck if you don't have the right team synergy. So I wanted to go through the boss fight in itself and the free-to-play team that I used to make it fairly easy with very minimal investment, because at the end of the day, if you can do things with minimal investment, it gives you more resources to invest into the characters you really want to in the future. So let's get into it. So the first thing to note about the Cocolia boss fight is the music. The soundtrack is wicked. If you're playing muted, please turn the sound up because it is definitely worth it. Now, when we look at the instance fight, there's basically two main instances in the fight that you're going to be looking at. The first one is 3 trash waves that you've got to get through, and then we have the Cocolia fight herself with your team once you unlock the Fire Trailblazer. So let's take a look at the team that I've taken into this one. Now, the most important thing, I think, that if you're struggling on this boss fight, something you definitely want to bring is March 7th and Natasha. You have to bring the Trailblazer into this one, so that is just an absolute no-brainer. But these fights become very defensive, especially early on if you don't have a high level of investment into your characters, which I don't. I'll show you my investment into them in a second. You really want to turtle these fights, meaning you just play super defensive. And then for your offensive unit, your attacking unit, you just want to bring something that has an elemental advantage over Cocolia herself. So I have brought Serval. Another option you can bring is Asta, because she has the fire element, and when we look at the Cocolia boss fight, she is weak to fire, lightning, and quantum. For those that got Zila, go nuts, you know, have your option. But for me, I just took Serval because she was the one I like for the rest of the early game a bit more than Asta. So I had her leveled up and ready to go. So that is the team I used. The reason we went with this is because, like I said, you want to play very defensive and survive. You've got some big hits that the enemies can do, which can just about knock you out. So you want to stay topped up and shielded up as much as possible through these fights. And that is the reason we take this team. Once again, you can take Asta in instead of Serval. Now, if you have pulled other units along the way, feel free to use them, but I definitely think you want to be playing this one more defensively than anything else, just so that you have the survival. Okay, so let's quickly have a look at the investment that I had into my team. Basically, TLDR is you want to have them all at level 40, and you know, your light cones between level 10 and level 20, and you should be pretty fine. Just auto place gear is all you need. So if we go here, light cone, you can see level 12 traces. I've done a couple little trace investments, nothing crazy, just those really early ones that are easy. Then we've got gear that was just auto placed. I have no idea on the stats, and my Serval does have one Eidolon. As we move on from that, we've got Natasha, once again level 40, light cone at level 12, traces just the easy ones, relics auto placed set, and Eidolons, that's actually at 0 Eidolon because I haven't actually invested that Eidolon into it yet. And then we have March 7th, level 40. Once again, level 20 on the light cone, traces, just the easy, simple ones. Relics, auto places was a free set we got along the way, and Eidolons at 0. And then finally, we have the Trailblazer. Now, the Trailblazer, level 40, once again, remember you do start with physical, so you don't actually have a tank light cone on her when you jump in. However, I believe you could swap it to a preservation light cone. It just means you wouldn't have the destruction one for the 3 trash waves. I didn't test that myself. It wasn't too much of an issue. Mine only had the destruction light cone, and it was perfectly fine. This is something I put on it afterwards. Then we jump into traces, 0 traces, because when you unlock this Fire Trailblazer, you won't have upgraded any of the traces because it's a different path, so you have to upgrade them separately to the physical one. Then relics, once again, auto placed, and Eidolons at 0 for the fire because you haven't got those yet. Okay, so with the teams out of the way, let's go through the fight. Now, the initial 3-wave fight is pretty easy. All you want to do is keep yourself topped up, shielded up, and not lose too much health, and then you can just basically delete the enemies. There's nothing crazy in this. Just if someone's low, put a shield or heal them, and you're pretty much right. You will have the physical Trailblazer at this stage, so you don't yet have the fire shields to contribute, but honestly, this one should be a fairly easy run through. Like I said, put shields on, heal up, deal some damage, and you're pretty much set to go through those phases. After that, you're going to get into some cutscenes, which once again are really cool. Turn the volume on, it's all wicked. And then you're going to get into a fight with Cocolia where it's scripted, where it's just the physical MC versus Cocolia. Just spam some abilities, it'll get through it, and then you'll get into another epic cutscene. And then after that, we get into the final fight with Cocolia, where you are now the fire main character, the Fire Trailblazer, and you have that set up. Now, in that Cocolia fight, it has two main phases. In the first phase, she's going to have two main abilities where she locks onto one of your allies, which whenever that happens, you want to taunt with your Fire MC. And that's pretty much the only time you want to use the taunt with Fire MC. Besides that, the basic is just really good for breaking the enemy. The other thing she does is that she summons some pillars, which you really want to get out of the way as soon as possible. Now, the other addition that we have in this fight is that we have the big mech that we can use to our advantage. Now, you can try and play this a bit quicker and get through it and just use the mech for damage, because it does actually offer a lot of break to Cocolia. But in this first phase of the fight, I like saving that mech arm, its attack, for when she summons the pillars, the ice pillars, and he basically just crushes them instantly. So that first phase is very easy. You're just taunting away when she locks onto an ally, which you can identify by the target that gets put on their little portrait down in the bottom left, and then using the mech to destroy the ads, and that's pretty much it. As we jump into phase 2 of the fight, she's going to have one ability that will imprison an ally, meaning they get their action delayed, and also they can't use their ultimate until they get their turn and come out of the imprisonment. And then her other ability is a charge ability, where she's going to activate it, she's going to start charging, and then the next time she has a turn, she's going to do a massive AoE. Now, this thing, it hits like an absolute truck, so keeping yourself topped off and shielded is very important. She almost one-shots my Serval in my playthrough with that ability, even though I was at full health with the Trailblazer shield on me. So this one can hit really hard. So this is why we're bringing the very defensive team. Now, when she is charging, you can knock her out of the charging phase by breaking her. However, it is not always an option. You're not always going to be able to set up that break. So using your shields to protect yourself and keeping yourself 100% topped is the way to get through this. Now, in this phase, we still have the machine with us. However, she is not summoning those ice pillars. So you can feel free to use the machine arm to just deal damage and also add break. It does a lot of toughness shred towards her break bar, which is fantastic, and you can just use that on cooldown pretty much in this phase to get her down. But essentially all we're doing is surviving her ultimate or breaking her through it, and that is the basic play. Like I said, it's not an overly complex fight. If you bring a very defensive team with shields and healing, you should be fine to get through it and survive your way through. Then, like I said, your last damage dealer is just there to have an elemental advantage over her so that we can contribute to the break. Once again, something like Asta is going to break her more with her skill. However, I was just using Serval because she was what I had leveled at the time. So if you were stuck at this point in the game, I do hope that this helped you out. Now, Cocolia is going to be one of the simulated universe bosses as well. I will come back and do another video on that. Once again, I find the simulated universe that if you are there at the moment and you can't find a way, normally when you unlock her, about another day or two's play is when you can increase the level cap of your characters. So that's when it becomes a lot easier to defeat. But for those pushing, we can definitely go through strategies in the simulated universe in a future video. But that is going to be it for this one, guys. Thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing the next one. Cheers.